Hey everyone. So it's the beginning of October and I'm out in Killarney Provincial Park. That's in Ontario, Canada. If you don't know where that is, it's just at the north end of Georgian Bay. So yeah, I've never been out to the park before. I'm just gonna, it's later in the day already. I got here quite late. So I'm just gonna pull into this little bit here. The sun's right at the level where it makes filming a little bit difficult. So just take a break and fill you in. So yeah, I'm in Killarney. Still paddling the strip canoe. I've made a change to it. I'll talk about that later on. And yeah, I'm just out doing a solo trip, planning to spend a few days. Today, really nice. I'm surprised actually. The last couple days have been really heavy wind and rain, and even driving over, now it was a 5-hour drive for me, but driving over, the wind was just howling down at the south end of Georgian Bay. So, you know, even the canoe was shaking around on top of the van. Well, not shaking, but you know, it was shaking. So yeah, gonna spend a few days. Weather is good today, but they are calling for rain, so I think right now tomorrow is supposed to be all right, and then I think the Saturday is supposed to be rain with a chance of thunderstorm, and I think after that is pretty much chance of rain. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. You know, I've decided it's, you know, being October, the temperatures aren't going to be that warm, so I've decided that I wanted to come out, check it out, and if it ends up being that the weather is just nasty and I'm cold and damp, then I'll just head out. No point, suffering in cold, damp conditions. But if the weather is tolerable, then I'll stay. So yeah, so undetermined length of trip. But yeah, it's nice so far. I like it. It's the colors are out, being autumn, and we've got the Canadian Shield, lots of the rocks as you can see in the background. Yeah, and I've heard about how Killarney is just a really pretty place with that contrast of rock and forest. So yeah, one thing is that when I got here, there is no other car in the parking lot. Actually, I've got a story about that too. I'll tell you later. But at this access point, no other car in the parking lot, but a big sign that you're in bear country. So, yay! But, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, bears are my thing. The thing that I worry about most in life, which is pretty ridiculous. But hey, we all have our thing. Anyway, yeah, it's later in the day already. It's probably like, I'm guessing after 4. So I'm going to find a campsite and just start getting set up. I'm going to stay here. I'm on Carlisle Lake, and I'm going to stay here for the night. And then I'm just going to move one lake over and then one lake over. I'm not going to go too far. I booked this trip months ago, and when I did, like I said, I've never been here before, so didn't know what to expect. Weather, traveling solo, the water's cold this time of year. Yep, water's pretty cold. So, yeah, I just decided, to come check it out. Don't travel too far in, give myself enough time that I can do some filming, maybe some fishing, and, just enjoy being in somewhere new. So, yeah, anyway, let's get to camp. Okay, well, that was a nice surprise. Little waterfall. There was another campsite, you know, a little bit back, but there's this opening between the both sides. Sorry, I really lost for words. And I thought I'd just come through and check it out, and I could hear the sound of waterfall, and also saw this big hill, and I thought, geez, if that big hill is a campsite, that would be a really nice spot, and it is. I didn't get it on film, but even little red squirrel came down the rock to say hi when I was pulling up. So I think it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, as long as nobody else is here and I don't know it. But yeah. So anyway, I'm going to check out this campsite, and then yeah, we'll carry on from there. Yeah, not bad campsite at all, actually. I'm kind of regretting that I'm not staying here for more than one night. I'll be leaving relatively early, but that little waterfall, it's just over there. There's another one on the back side, so yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but see behind me is another little lake that feeds that little waterfall, and there's another little waterfall feeding this little lake, which would be nice to check out. Maybe I will, but maybe I won't. Yeah, fire pit, not really anything else. There is a flat spot for a tent. I always like to, I don't know why, I like to keep my tent kind of close to the fire. I guess I like it just, stay by the fire, get tired, jump in tent. It's a little bit further back, but that's okay. I can survive. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I guess what I can say is right now I feel just a little bit kind of disorientated. It's a new place. It's very beautiful here. So that's a huge distraction, I'm taking it in as I'm looking at everything. But yeah, but I have only 2 hours before sunset, and I need to get my tent set up. I need to get my food bag hung, and I've already taken a minute to gather up a little bit of firewood, but hardly anything, just like a tiny little bit of kindling. So I need to do that as well. It is going to get cold tonight. The weather report's been totally crazy lately, It's like, I use the internet, I look for what the weather is going to be like, and right away, Google results say one thing, it shows up right at the top. Then I click below on a link is the 7-day forecast, and it says completely different. And then I'm driving up here and I hear something else that's completely different. So tonight might get down to 0, might see frost, or it might be around, I think they were saying like 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. So either way, cold night. Yeah, but I want to get the tent set up, get some firewood, then be ready for the sunset. I can do a shot of that, and yeah, just relax, have my dinner. So I think I'm gonna not film the setting of the camp, and I will catch up with you in a little while. Okay, well, I've got the tent set up. Oh, I've got a canoe coming by. I've got the tent set up. I've got some firewood. And now I'm going to get set up to film the sunset. And while that's running, I will have my dinner. So after having a brief chat with a couple local paddlers, I quickly ate my dinner and then set off to try to get a shot of what the sun looked like as it set over Carlisle Lake. Well, good morning, everyone. Well, coffee number 2. So, it's a little bit chilly this morning, but it's starting to warm up. I stayed in my sleeping bag for quite a while. I'm guessing until like 8 or 8:30, and then I've been, mucking about, brush my teeth, make coffee, bit of video, whatnot. So it's probably already like 9:30 or 10 or something like that, I would guess. Last night was chilly. It wasn't too bad at the start, but halfway through the night, early morning, it was cold. Cold enough that it's the reason why I stayed in my sleeping bag until around 8. The sun has poked out, but then gone back behind clouds, and right now it's looking pretty cloudy. I've seen these clouds before, not very promising. So the plan was to, just spend the night here and then get over to the next campsite. Sorry, super tired. I'm not sure if I told you where I am. So I'm on Carlisle Lake. Found out that the little lake behind me on the other side of camp is Terry Lake, and they call this the Bay of Terry. Whatever. And I'm going to paddle over to Johnny Lake today. So it's not very far. It's probably like, looking at the map, it's probably like somewhere between 5 and 10 kilometers. Not very far at all. I should be able to, with all the fooling around with video, I should be able to do that in a few hours. Normally, so if you don't know, it's kind of like the rule of average is that you can paddle about 20 kilometers in a day, give or take. So 5 kilometers, 4 hours. That makes sense? No? 2 hours. And I'm skipping over all kinds of things that I want to tell you. I got a new camera, so hopefully the footage is turning out all right. On my last trip into the Kawartha Highlands, the GH4 was playing up quite a bit, but on that last trip it was on its way out, and I still have it. Luckily, I haven't sent it. I'm going to send it away to be fixed, but I thought I'll do this trip and then we'll see if I can get it repaired. It's an old camera. See if it's worth it. It's nice to have 2 cameras. So you'll see the bits and pieces here and there. Might have shots of me with the camera. So that all kind of makes sense. I have 2 cameras. So still learning. What I got is the GH5, very good camera from Panasonic. Shoots in 4K. I'll still probably only upload 1080 footage to YouTube, maybe the odd thing in 4K, but the file size is just huge for 4K. I gotta say as well, and this isn't an ego thing, it's just very neat, very cool thing. Yesterday was a 5-hour drive up here, and then 5 hour? Yeah, maybe more, but around 5. And I get to the park office, Killarney Park office. You have to go there before going out to your access point to pick up your permit and just register. So there was only one other car in the parking lot. And 5-hour drive, you know what it's like. My first stop was to head into the washroom. So I come out, and then there's this, this attractive young woman standing by the parking lot, kind of between my car and another, and she says my name. And I was like, totally, confused, really. It was like, how do you know my name? And my thoughts are like, do you work for the parks and you've been waiting for me to arrive? So I ask her, how does she know my name? And she tells me that she watches my videos. I thought, you've got to be kidding me, you know? I drive for 5 hours. There's like nobody else here, one other car in the parking lot, and you recognize me. Very crazy. Anyway, hi Mary. Send me an email or comment on this video and let me know how your trip was. So yeah, anyway, her name was Mary, and she said that she was coming out for a trip as well. So very cool. Yeah, you know, the weird thing is that, like, of course, I make videos and I publish them to YouTube. You know, I have whatever, 14,000 subscribers. Of course, people are going to see me, but I forget about that. And it's funny because, you know, I am, you know, in a way getting to know some of, you know, the viewers, you guys, just through our comments. And, you know, that's cool. But I don't really spend a lot of time on social media or anything like that. You know, I try to disconnect from all of that. You know, even, you know, at home, my cell phone, day to day, the ringer is off. And, you know, if you call or you text me, expect a bit of a delay because I'm not going to know until I look at my phone. And I do that on purpose. So it's interesting, you know, I'm a little bit disconnected from this whole technology thing, and it was kind of well, it was pleasant. It was shocking and pleasant, you know. It was nice. Yeah, you know, she gave me some compliments, and that, you know, it's always nice. You know, it's hard work. Anybody who does videos knows it's hard work, and you know, I was looking forward to getting out here, and a little bit of me was not looking forward to doing all the filming and everything. So, you know, it was almost like perfect timing to meet somebody and have them give me that little compliment that, you know, I didn't really need the fuel, but yeah, she fueled me up a bit. So that was great. So yeah, anyhow, what else? New camera, met Mary, heading to Johnny Lake, second cup of coffee. Weather looks like it's gonna rain. Beautiful colors out. Yeah, a moment ago I was just looking around and not regretting, but just thinking that I should come back here and plan. Like, I could spend 3 days at this campsite, I think. You know, it's really nice. Really nice. Could spend 3 days easily, you know. Explore this little bay, do some fishing, go over to the other side, check out that waterfall, you know, see where it leads to. Yeah, easily 3 days. So many places to see. Oh, I've got some modifications on the canoe, but I'll show you those later. Anyhow, so once this is done, I'm going to pack up. I'm going to prepare for the rain a bit. I'm going to, you know, pack everything into the bag, but I'll leave the tent and I'll put a tarp on top. I've got a pair of rain pants and I've got a shell jacket. So either I'll put those at the very top, or I've got a spare dry bag, just a small, what is it, AquaQuest, maybe 25-liter dry bag or something like that. I might even just stick them in there and strap them to the top of the pack, just in case. I don't have far to go, but with these temperatures, I'd hate for it to start raining and, you know, get soaked in the canoe. Same as just arriving at camp. It would be good to, like, if it does start to rain, I want to be able to unpack and get the tent and tarp set up as soon as possible. Staying dry is going to be important. You know, last night, I think I said earlier, they were saying that it would be like 0 or 3 degrees or something overnight. So yeah, you definitely don't want to be wet and then dealing with that. I think it might be difficult to warm back up. So okay, so anyway, rambling. Geez, that was like 10 minutes, but I think I got you caught up. I'll show you the changes to the canoe later, and I'll get packed up and we can get on our way. The sooner we get there, the better. I've got a good dinner for tonight, and yeah, even if it doesn't start raining, I think it's important that I get to camp and prepare for the rain. They did say tomorrow is going to rain, so I'm thinking right now it's probably going to happen later in the day or this evening. So, all right, let's get going. So I'd been paddling for about half an hour or so and hadn't seen anyone else on the lake. And then all of a sudden I heard the sound of a whistle. I looked around and I couldn't see anything at first. And you know how it is when you hear something, you know what direction it came from. And so I focused my attention on the other side of the lake. And then I heard the whistle again, and I could see someone standing by some trees on the shore on the other side. I saw them wave to me, and so I waved back. I'm not sure if they saw me wave or not, but soon after I heard the whistle again and saw the figure lift both hands up into the air. All I could think is that possibly there was something wrong, some sort of emergency that they were calling me over for. My imagination started to create possibilities of what could be wrong, and then the reasoning part of my brain started to figure why those emergencies couldn't be taking place, and also how I could help if they were. When I got close enough that I could yell and be heard, I called out asking, "How can I help?" And to my surprise, I got the response, "We just put on a fresh pot of coffee. Do you want to come into the cabin and warm up?" It's funny because I was thinking, they can't be in trouble because there's a cottage and I see lots of boats around them. But I thought I better go and find out.
Well, I'm glad you didn't abandon us.
Oh, well, a cup of coffee sounds good.
Super. To capture your image, I thought,
Oh, yeah?
I recognize the canoe. And then I lost you, you know, because I came in here to tell Pat, and then I went back, and I came in here to put on an orange windbreaker. I thought that would help.
And
then I lost you altogether, and you were going along beside that rock face, you know, and the stripper just blends in with the terrain. And I was glad I had the binocular. That's when I blew the whistle.
Yeah.
And you thought we were in trouble.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. At first, because I didn't know who.
And when Rich put his two hands up, I wondered if that would be.
And that's, I heard the whistle and I thought, that's a whistle.
Yeah.
You know, and then I looked around, and then I think you blew it again, and I saw you, and maybe you waved or something, and I waved back, and then you put both hands up, and I thought, oh, maybe they're in trouble.
Yeah, good for you.
So,
and you came over.
Yeah.
Rich, this was interesting. Remember I was looking at this last night?
Yes, we thought we should
It's wonderful little-
review the SAS survival manual just in case.
And
okay.
look at this. Remember I told you that?
Oh, what is that for?
It means pick us up.
Oh, well, Jason, we were right in the book.
well, and I was thinking,
Upper left.
Yeah.
See, pick us up. And when I saw Rich do that, I thought, oh, I wonder if that is hi, how are you, or if it's more of something there.
yeah, and so I thought, you know, like I didn't think you would be in trouble. I didn't know it would. You know, my brain, I'm still tired midday, but,
Well, and
you know, I was
weren't
thinking,
expecting anything.
right, and I was thinking maybe they're in trouble. I didn't know it was you, and then I
No.
thought, I started paddling over thinking, well, I definitely, you know, I can't just keep paddling on,
Yeah.
you know, and then I'm thinking, maybe they lost their canoe,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and I thought,
That was good.
well, there's lots of cabins, and I see lots of boats on the shore.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, so that won't make sense. And I was thinking, maybe someone's injured. And I thought, well, if someone's injured, that I'm not going to help much because I shouldn't admit it, but I didn't even pack a first aid kit.
You were problem solving.
Yeah. But
Thinking of possibilities. Right, is your coffee hot?
oh,
Should be. It came off the wood stove. Maybe just make sure it.
thanks. What can I do with my spoon?
Just on the table. It's
That's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's hot.
steaming.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, it's good. And
Okay. Good.
then invited in for coffee. That's better than an emergency any day.
There you are, bonus.
Yeah.
And help yourself to. I made this
Thank
little
you.
coffee cake yesterday. And help yourself and cheese. We have a daughter in Vermont, and they make fabulous cheddar cheese there. And Well, those are chunks. So just help yourself,
Nice.
Jason.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Don't be shy. Help yourself here. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself.
Tell you about myself. What do you want, the present or the past? Because I don't know the future.
No, you don't. But you're on Soundway.
I live over near Owen Sound, south of Owen Sound, about 45 minutes.
What's the place?
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay. We've been to Duntroon over in there, the ski area.
Okay.
Oh, that's so Owen Sound somewhere there.
So if you know. As it turned out, it was the couple that had been canoeing past my campsite the night before. Patricia and Richard had been wondering how I'd been making out in such a cold night, and kept their eye out for me all morning. It was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, a unique moment where I could connect briefly one-on-one with other people passionate about being outdoors and canoe tripping. House on the corner, and I'm on that country block, half a kilometer in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we're country people too. We live south of Perry Sound.
Right, yeah.
But we're on a lake there, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
We have been married this summer 50 years.
Wow.
50 years.
Good for you.
And this cabin we built in 69, Rich?
Yes.
Yeah.
69.
The first summer we were married.
Was quite a story. Tell Jason how we got this lawn.
So, 69, a friend of mine at the high school where we taught said when he heard we were going to go canoe tripping that summer, he said, you should try Killarney. And we had no knowledge of it at all. As it turned out, I think the park had been in effect for maybe less than 10 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the highway
More
only
like
went
5
in.
years.
The highway went in 62, Rich. I think the park started in 63. Yeah. And this was in
Is
69. Summer of 69.
So we needed a canoe pack, sort of like that. And I wanted a Woods 200 canoe pack. So in those days, the establishments that sold that kind of equipment didn't exist.
Rich knew all the canoeing stuff because he had guided as a canoe guide for, since you were about 17 and knows Algonquin like the back of his head. Knows what every portage, now you're going to meet a boardwalk part through here and, half a K and it's going to be mud, but keep going. How do you envision all that? How do you remember that? Anyway, Killarney was new to us.
So we got into the Toronto Yellow Pages, and we found in a place called New Toronto, which no longer exists, but it's out west of the city, a store called Timber Lake Outfitters, and we thought that was a good shot. So we had family in Toronto, so we went there, I guess sometime in July. It would have been August, 69. And sure enough, they had a Woods 200 pack, and we picked up 2 or 3 other little items for our canoe trip. And the guy at the cash chatted us up as we were leaving, and he said, "Where are you going canoeing?" And we said, "Well, we thought we'd try Killarney." Well, he just about jumped out of his socks. He said, "Killarney," he said, "I got to tell you about this property I've got there." And he said, "I've got to get rid of it. It's a Crown land lot," and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, my 2 years to prove it are past. And he said, I bought the extension for a year, and it is over this December, and this is August.
And in that time, you had to get a building up and closed with windows and doors and a roof on it. Right. Otherwise, you were in danger of forfeiting all the effort and money you'd put into it back to the Crown.
Right. Okay.
But at that time, Crown land lots were so sparse that they weren't worth considering. We'd never thought. So he said, make sure you paddle by my location. He said, here, I'll give you an aerial photo. And he wouldn't let us out of the store unless we took this stuff.
And we already live on a lake in Paris.
Yeah, and you know, we were just trying to get started. And I said to him, you know, we're trying to buy a house, and there's no way we're going to take on something like this. But anyway, so we started the canoe trip at George Lake, and we did a big circuit down to Georgian Bay and up to Three Narrows over Mutineers Portage, and then back to Killarney Lake, and
8 days we were at Lake.
yeah, and you know, something like 6 days we returned to the site on Killarney Lake that we had occupied on our way in.
Number 24.
And we said to ourselves, well, we've got a day to kill. Why don't we base camp here, and in an empty canoe we'll run down from Killarney through Norway, Coquise, Carlisle, and we'll have a look at this lot to satisfy this guy. So we did. And you know, of course, there was nothing here, just the lot. But it had strong appeal, but you know, the practicality of the circumstances prevailed, and the school year started, and we got underway, and I think the first weekend maybe that we had time to think about other things, we got around to chatting about Killarney, and we found that in our absence from here, this place grew in appeal. And so I
Rich had always dreamed of having a little cabin on a canoe route.
Right.
But I'd always thought in terms of Algonquin.
Right.
But of course, there are no crown land. You can only lease property in Algonquin. So the long and the short of it is, we took over this guy's right to put a building on this lot, along with the 4 months restriction, and we realized that we couldn't have an extension, and so we undertook to get the process started. And, you know, I'm not a builder. I don't really know anything about this stuff, but my former scoutmaster was the designer, and Al said, "You have? Wonderful." He says, "I'll be up on the weekend." So he drove up from Toronto, and we drove up here, and of course the road access in here, the laneway didn't exist, but anyway, we hiked a footpath to this location.
Carlisle Landing, where you probably started.
And Al took it all in, and he said, I'll design you a place, and I'll have the plans in the mail in a week. And he did. And it was this little building that Al designed. And
16 by 24, right? And then with the loft, it took it to 20 by 24.
yeah, that's right.
Very small.
Yeah. So, but it was large enough to qualify for a patent
Right.
from DLF, as it was called in those days.
Yeah.
So my brother happened to be between jobs, and we engaged him to build this place. And we had a huge job getting supplies down here, but there is a public landing at the end of Carlisle Lake, and the neighbors along here supplied us with a boat and a motor to help us get our stuff down here, and we got underway with construction. And my brother worked through the week, and we'd come up on the weekends and tent here and sort of labor on the job. And early December, we had the walls up and closed in to the top plate, not windows or siding, but just construction board.
It was so windy and cold, Rich. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was so good to get the black coat on.
It was an appalling
Fall.
dose of weather. I remember one time we piled cement blocks at the water's edge, and the next morning we went down by boat to pick them up and deliver them down here, and the first course of block were underwater. Wow. The lake had gone up 8 inches overnight. Wow. And it just rained like, anyway, it was appalling weather. But we carried on, and we managed to get the rafters up, no roofing on. And my brother said to me, the top plate is icy. This is foolishness to try and carry on with this. We have to give up. And so we did. And sorrowfully, we hiked out of here in early December, leaving the place unfinished. And we knew, of course, that it would be forfeit to the Crown. And so I think late January, at our rural mailbox at home, this important looking envelope showed up with a window in it. And we got ourselves calmed down and sat down at the kitchen table and very deliberately opened this thing. And the first paragraph said, "As you are aware, properties which do not qualify for the rules are forfeit to the Crown," etc., etc., etc. And second paragraph, "However, for the sum of $50, you are hereby granted an extension for a year."
For 1 year.
So never was $50 from mail.
By return mail.
Yeah, that's a true fact.
I figure they came in, and they would have been probably on snowshoes by that time. It was a heavy winter that January. But I figure they came in and saw the effort. Yeah. And just decided. And so by the next summer or so, we had it enclosed and we got full title. Here you get full title, which is wonderful. For 0.83 of an acre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this is a buffer lot over here, which is wonderful. So that's actually Crown, or I guess it's down part of the park.
I think it is park.
Park, right there. And the next cabin, you'll see it as you go on down. And then there are just 4 little ones in here. See, there's no hydro in here, and there never will be hydro. Right. Hydro came up the bay, and it goes as far in as George Lake from the bay, and then you see the last hydro pole end there. So people go on solar and stuff. We've finally, this year, bought a little generator for here, but we just do it with a car battery. Right. So, and lanterns, and that's all we've done.
3 LED lights and so, there's been over 50 years some modest improvements, such as this.
So after a nice cup of coffee and an even better chat, I got back out to the water in the canoe and headed back on my way. Okay, so I'm just about to go out onto Johnny Lake, and I can see, well, it's been a headwind all along, but this last little bit, this bit of a river coming off of Carlisle has been pretty sheltered. Up ahead, Johnny is definitely more windy. It's a headwind, and I can see that there's a bit of a chop. So I'm not going to film much. I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, when I'm done talking here, I'm going to turn the camera around as I enter the lake, and then I'm just going to lay the camera down. That way it's just one less thing for me to think about. I have more room to paddle, and yeah, I'm just gonna, right now the thing is the water's too cold to take any risks. Really, if I fell in the water, I'd have probably 5 to 10 minutes to get out before I was hypothermic, and really probably, if I was lucky, 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick to the shore as I've been doing all along, play it safe, and so I'll just come out and I'll stick to the shore, and there is a campsite along the shore not too far. If I find that the paddling is good, then I'll keep going, but it is quite a distance, probably, I'm going to guess that's probably 3 kilometers to get to the next campsite. So I really have to weigh up the risk. Anyhow, that said, it's already getting later in the day again, so I'm going to just get a move on. Well, the wind's died down a little bit. So I thought I'd get the camera out a little bit and get a bit more footage while I'm here. It's just stunning landscape. Of course, lake keeps tricking me a little bit. It dies down and then there's a gust of wind. So, anyhow, this is the shore, paddle. All right, well, I'm at camp. This is a beautiful spot. I'm going to focus in later so you can see that view behind me. Let's see, I don't know if you can see at all. Where is it? Yeah, over there. But I'll have to check the map to tell you what mountain range that is, but spectacular. And yeah, so I'm here, I'm at camp. Now, downside of this site is that the wind is blowing right into it, but yeah, it's home for the night anyhow. Tomorrow I'm moving on, so we'll make do. Yeah, check it out. If I can, I'll set the tent just a little bit further away from shore in case it rains through the night. Right now the wind's blowing into it, so it makes sense. If it starts to rain, the rain will also blow in, but there is lots of tree cover. Trees are not huge. There are some down trees, which I brought my bow saw, so depending on when they came down, there might be some good firewood. There's actually other wood down right by the fire pit. So yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so I'm just about set up camp. I'm just doing this kind of quick. Keep hearing something behind me in the woods. I don't like the sound of, but you know, it could be anything. You know, you hear things when you're out in the woods. And, you know, could be a squirrel, could be a raccoon, you know, could be a branch falling, or just the weight of a branch, you know, or a tree that breaks the branch, you know, or could be anything. So it's kind of dark in here, eh? But so anyway, so what I've grown kind of accustomed to is, you know, if I hear something, if I hear a snap of a stick, which usually, you know, gets anybody a little bit alert. If I hear a snap, I register it in my brain that there was a snap. And then if I hear another snap, I think, huh, is that coincidental? Second snap? Then if I hear a third snap, then I start to be a little concerned that, that could be something walking, especially if it starts to sound, you know, like there's a pattern to it. And that's what I heard just a minute ago when I was tying the canoe here. So anyway, so what I've done, you know, and if you see something sneaking up behind me, yell, look out. You know, I've put the bear spray in the pocket of my hoodie anyway, and it was also my cue to start talking because, like, there's no question, there's bears out there. I just don't see them. And, you know, so when I first got here, as an example, I came in, I looked around, do I see any animal signs that are alarming? You know, like they've been climbing the trees, or they're, you know, stool or scat on the ground, that kind of thing. And then I look up in the trees and I look for deadfall. Is there anything above me that is going to land on me and take me out? And when I'm looking up in the trees, because I know that tons of animals climb, I'm also looking for animals. You know, do I see any decent size lumps of brown or black up there? And because, you know, I've even seen raccoons, you know, hanging out up in a tree. So yeah, so that's what I do. I look around. I haven't seen anything like that. You know, I saw that there's a couple trees that are down, and just your typical, you know, they're along the shoreline. It must have been windy, and one big red pine took out a cedar. Other than that, it's pretty good camp, but I haven't seen anybody else. So, you know, when you're out on your own, the animals know that too. They're like, oh, thank God, everybody's gone. Let's just do our thing and not be bothered. And so they start wandering around, you know, and some of them that have, you know, learnt that humans leave scraps behind, they go and check out campsites. So anyway, so yeah, so got the tent set up. What I've done is I've set up my canoe, stood it up, tied it to two trees to create a sort of windbreak. I had considered just building a temporary, like a fire reflector. You know, not so much a reflector, more just it helps with the wind from blowing from the back, and also I don't want to use the word radiate because there's a great debate about whether wooden reflectors reflect heat, and they don't radiate the heat, but there's no question, you know, if you stop the heat from moving in one direction, then it can only move in, you know, the other directions. So if you hang out on that other side. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit, what was it? So I'm rambling kind of intentionally to just let them know that I'm here. I'm spending the night. So yeah, anyway, so let me see. So you can see, well, you saw me setting it up, but it's probably out of focus. And let's see if I can do that. Are you in focus now? Probably not. Right, so I've just got the canoe set up, tied to 2 trees, and just in front of the fire reflector there. And that'll be good. So that will, oh, I'm out of focus. Am I in focus? Now I'm in focus. So anyway. Yeah, new camera. It's interesting, you know, lots to learn about it. It's very similar to the old camera, but a little different. I'm pushing myself with the photography and the video, the filmmaking, and so I'm trying to do everything manual. Well, close to everything. Like I've got the autofocus on right now, but I tend to set the autofocus on what I want and then switch it to manual. Right now, it was on manual. I just switched it to autofocus so I could get the canoe. But I'm doing everything else manual, so it will, once I'm good at it and I can do it quick, it will do a better job at getting a nice shot looking how it is supposed to look. And that's what I'm after. You know, I would like my videos to be semi-cinematic. It's YouTube, so they don't have to be cinematic, but semi-cinematic. But also show the environment that I'm in, right? That's hopefully what you're watching as well, or the reason you're watching. Anyway, it's after 4 o'clock. It's got to be around 5. I left the cabin at around 1 or something like that. So I have some wood for fire. I'm going to focus on getting more firewood. It's way too late for me to make lunch, but I am hungry. I'm going to pick my bow saw out of my pack. I'm going to go cut some wood from that dead tree. And then I will bring it up here and get a fire going. And then I will make dinner. And tonight it is beef stew, real beef stew. I packed in some beef. Potato, onion, carrot. I think I remembered the carrot. Oh, and you will have noticed I changed my hat. My ears are actually, they're hurting. They're sore. The cold wind. I pulled them up off my ears because I thought I heard something that's muffled with it down. But yeah, I'm gonna wear a toque, so probably keep the toque on for the rest of the trip. I noticed a bit of a sore throat as well this morning. Then as the day's been going, I've been noticing a bit of sniffle. Now my ears are hurting. So not the best if it's, well, it is going to rain, and they said it will rain tomorrow. So, yeah. Anyway, gather up firewood, get fire going.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Well, the stew last night was really good. Really, really good. I didn't film any of the eating, or didn't get a chance to show it because it was just too dark by the time I ate. Camera's got really poor low light, or I just haven't figured out the settings. So I'll have to play with that. So I went to bed, and then at some point, middle of the night, I'm asleep, and I dream. All I see is a hand reaching up out of the water, and in the center of the hand, the palm of the hand, it's like the mouth of a lamprey. Startling. Woke me up. You know, it even woke me up, and it was like, I think I even said out loud, what the was that? But then, from then on, yeah, this slight thing that was in my throat that went into my ears yesterday, it took hold. Super dizzy last night. Like, yeah, I woke up from that, you know, couldn't get myself back to sleep because my head was, you know how when it's like you're lying down, it's like head spins or whatever, you know, where like sometimes it feels like your feet are floating higher than your head, and you know, and you're just all uneven. So I went out and relieved myself, visited the tree, and went back. I thought at first maybe I was lying, you know, maybe my head was low on the hill, and maybe all the blood was rushing to my head. So I turned around. But the dizziness and, I don't know if you call it disorientation? It doesn't sound like it's a word. Yeah, it was weird because I was, you know, I spun myself around, and then I'd be lying there. And, like, it sounds stupid, but lying on my right side, and my brain, I don't know, like trying to figure out what side I was lying on, thinking that I was, you know, like still with my head at the other side of the tent and lying on my left side or something, like just weird. So I was just tossing and turning and like crazy. Then coughing fit started. Yeah, it's brutal. I have a fever this morning. I'm going to put my jacket on in a bit to keep myself more warm. This is pretty warm. I've got 3 layers right now, a t-shirt and my flannel and my hoodie. But I feel sweaty and cold at the same time. So, but I'm going to put my jacket on and just keep myself warm. If I need to, I'll take it off. So yesterday I was thinking, when I got here, I was thinking I'd just stay at this camp and not push on any further. Because, you know, there hasn't been anybody else out, and so maybe there would be nobody by. And if it's going to rain, then I just sit tight. And if someone showed up, then I'd move on. But, yeah, last night, during all the dizziness and, Like, it's still happening, but it's not as bad sitting up or moving around. I found them, so I started taking the tent apart, and, you know, I bent down to pull a peg and had one of those head rush things where, you know, everything just goes black for a second. So I find I'm moving really slow. I tripped over my own feet untying the canoe seat on the one side, stuff like that. But yeah, what I was going to say is I decided last night I'm just going to pack up and leave. Last night was brutal. Like, I've got the body aches from fever. My neck is killing me. And, you know, I did that northwest loop and I was sick, you know, for the whole week. And I kept pushing forward, you know, expecting it to get better. I mean, it didn't. Didn't get worse either, but it didn't get better. Last night was rough, and this morning feels terrible. And right now I don't feel like, you know, when you have those really bad colds or flus where you're, you know, laid out on your couch for a day or two. I don't feel like that. But last night I was thinking, I do not want to be like that out here. So, yeah, despite everything working out on the Northwest Loop trip, I learned from the experience, from just hindsight, you know, in a positive way. I just evaluated how I tripped, and that was really one of the main mistakes I think that I made, is that I should have packed it in. I'll say though, and like, let this be a lesson to everyone. I mean, we all have to learn it, but the thing is, you know, especially when we're, you know, when we're on vacation or we're out tripping, or, you know, even probably day-to-day things, we get this goal set in our mind, you know? I'm doing this, I'm going there. And and we've kind of put on the blinders, right? And we just go. And I think that's how we get ourselves into trouble. So, yeah. You know, I'll say as well, this trip, this has been one of the best trips that I've been on this summer. And it's not been from the scenery, although, like, I'm distracted by the beauty of my environment right now, but the trip has been really good from the people that I've met along the way. You know, I wasn't expecting it. It was completely unexpected, and that kind of makes it exciting, but it was just so... I don't know, so nice. Something in the tree. Anyway. I'm gonna get back out here though. I think I'll plan a trip out here next year. Maybe in August. Plan for when the weather's nice. It's just so beautiful, and I wish you could see, you know. I know that the camera won't get it, but just looking at this, you know, the white rock, you know, of that ancient mountain range, and fall leaves. There's a woodpecker pecking stuff at me. Anyway, everybody, I'm really, really low energy. It's another reason of the packing up is brain's not working. It's quite rude for me to not remember. Patricia? Yeah, Patricia and Richard, that's what I thought. They told me this portage that I was planning on doing was quite steep, that it was more like a cliff, and Richard has a lifetime of canoeing experience. He used to be a guide out in Algonquin. He said that that it's a portage for 2 people, you know, so they even suggested, you know, have a look around. If I do it, have a look around to see if I can get off the trail right before the water to avoid the cliff part. There's no way I can do that. You know, I feel tired and weak. But my point about that is that I'm not going to film my way out. I'm just going to paddle. I want to get everything packed up and get out of here soon. So I'm just going to stop filming now. Probably rambled long enough. I don't see a timer on the camera, but yeah, I'm sure this ramble's been long enough. But yeah, you saw the way in. If I just pack up the camera, then it's away and I can just take my time. Right now, I'll have the wind on my back. And yeah, I can just get out of here. It's going to be a 4 or 5 hour paddle. So, and then after that, I have a 5 or 6 hour drive. So really, I should get my butt moving. And thank you for watching, for continuing to watch. And yeah, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed it, give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment. And if this is your first time here, then please subscribe. Gonna also say, I don't usually shout out to people, but I'm gonna just shout out to someone. There's this guy, he's been watching my videos for quite a while. Ages ago, he told me that he, some of my canoe building videos helped him build his own canoe. Anyway, he started his own channel a while ago, quite a while ago, and yeah, doing a really good job. So, you know, I don't have the time to watch many other YouTube videos, but his are ones that they're interesting. They're different, you know, and they're interesting. And I do check his out. So, yeah, highly recommend it. So, so go check out Simon, A Bloke in the Woods, and yeah, check out some of his videos. And if they're for you, then yeah, subscribe, help him along. His channel's growing pretty quick. Like, it's good quality. So I think only a couple months ago he was at like 5,000 subs, and I think he's at like 7 or 8 now already. So yeah, it's good. It's good quality. And he seems like a decent bloke. Should be Simon, A Decent Bloke in the Woods. Anyway, yeah, go check him out. Send him my regards. And yeah. Anyway, I'm out of here.